Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Amanda. So today's video, I've got 3 delicious, easy new slider recipes for y'all. These will be using those Hawaiian sweet rolls that everyone loves. So these are just perfect for those game day recipes that you might be needing for the Super Bowl, or for any kind of get together, or just for a yummy dinner as well, or lunch actually too. So I'm really excited to share these recipes with y'all. Now this video is also really special because it's part of a collaboration. I'm actually teaming up with a couple of my friends over here on YouTube, Kate from Kate Koska and April from Cooking with April, and we've all decided to get together some great game day recipes. So we're going to have lots of delicious recipes for y'all, so make sure you check out their channels. I'll have their links down below in the description box to their videos as well, and to their channels. Head over there, show them some love, and let them know I sent y'all. If you're coming over from their channels, welcome. I do lots of food content over here. I've also started getting into hauls and all that good stuff too. So I would love to have you join my YouTube family if you like what you see here. But I'm excited to share these recipes with y'all, so let's go ahead and get into the video. So we're going to go ahead and get into the chili cheese dog sliders, and I always just love a good chili cheese dog, and so I thought I'd actually make the chili sauce on my own, like without getting it from a can or anything like that. So you definitely could use canned chili dog sauce here if you want to, but I've just got some oil that I'm using to saute these onions, and we're just going to kind of get them softened and a little bit golden, and then we're going to go ahead and add some garlic to it. We'll just saute that for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add in our tomato paste and stir that in and cook it for 2 or 3 more minutes. And it actually says in the recipe until the paste just starts to brown on the bottom of the pan. Now I will have all the recipes I use in this video linked below in the description box. I always try to also include any kind of notes that I changed or anything like that too. That way that y'all know exactly what I did. We're just going to go ahead and add some water into this pan to deglaze the pan. Then we'll go ahead and add in our spices. We've got things like chili powder, cumin, a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, all that good stuff. And you just want to mix that together well. We're also going to put in our meat here in just a minute. This actually does a little different. So, well, I think I've only made chili sauce like one time, so I don't remember how I made it then. But this does not have you cook the meat first, obviously. We're actually making this liquid, and we're going to cook the raw meat in this liquid, so it's going to like boil it. That also helps it really make these like little tiny crumbles, you know, because if you think about chili dog sauce, it's always like really fine crumbles of meat. And so we're just going to kind of whisk that in there, get it really good and broken up, and we're going to let that go ahead and simmer covered for about 30 minutes over low heat. And then we're going to go ahead and uncover it. And you do want to stir it occasionally through this whole time, by the way, just to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom or anything. And once we've removed the lid, we're going to let it simmer again for another 30 minutes or until it's kind of your desired thickness. Now, this does take a little bit of time, so again, completely understand if you decide you want to use like canned chili dog sauce. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of try to make my own. And especially, you know, y'all know what I've already talked about with like sodium and stuff like that. I always try to kind of be mindful of that. And so much of the canned items like that has such high sodium. So this is my chance to kind of make my own to meet the kind of sodium levels I would like to keep it at. Now these are just cold hot dogs that I'm just slicing in half lengthwise. I will tell you that I did not feel that these got quite warm enough. So if I were you, I would recommend air frying them or microwaving them or boiling them or whatever, just to kind of heat them up a little bit. Of course I would do that when they're whole, not when they're already cut in half, because I think they tend to kind of curl up possibly if you do that when they're cut in half. So I would do that just to kind of warm them a little bit. Because I feel like these did not get as warm as I would have liked. But we're just going to lay these across our slider buns, and then we're going to actually top them with that chili dog sauce. I also chose to add diced onions, and then of course we're going to put cheese and mustard. You obviously can kind of make this your own. There's all kinds of ways you could top your chili dog. So whatever you usually use for toppings, I think would work great here. So y'all let me know in the comments down below if you have a favorite slider recipe. I've tried a few different ones, and I found several that I really like and everything. I feel like it's kind of just fun to try different ones, experiment with them. And you can also, you don't have to use the sweet Hawaiian rolls. You could, I think they have like a buttery one or something like that. And of course, I feel like there's been almost a whole, thing with different companies making buns that are slider buns. So you don't even have to use the Hawaiian rolls at all. You could use all kinds of different slider buns. Because I will say, obviously, the Hawaiian rolls have a little bit of sweetness to them. So if you would rather keep whatever you're making completely savory, then I would, definitely recommend you change it out if you like. And I just topped this with some shredded cheese. I ran out, and so I had to use some of the bigger slices too. And then I just went ahead and drizzled some mustard on top here. We're going to go ahead and place that top part of the bun on top of our chili dog mixture. And we're going to be making up our butter mixture for the topping. I've got some onion powder and garlic powder I want to put on here. I actually put a little bit of onion salt too from Trader Joe's on there. And I did not have any poppy seeds. They did call for poppy seeds in the recipe. So that would definitely kind of make it more decorative. That's why I did the onion salt, because it kind of has like that green to it. So it kind of would give a little flecks of color, I felt like, on the top. But we're just going to brush these on our buns and get them all nice and coated with that butter mixture. Then we're going to go ahead and cover these and bake them in the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. Then we'll remove that foil and bake them another 10 minutes until, they're golden brown. Now, these did, I feel like, get fully done like they should on top. But like I mentioned earlier, I don't feel like the hot dogs got as warm as I would like them to. And, it's such a hard thing sometimes with sliders because you don't want to burn the tops. And that's why I mentioned I think it would be a great idea to go ahead and heat the hot dogs. But these were a big hit. Really enjoyed these. Very tasty. Like I said, I love a good, chili dog. So this was just a fun spin on that. And I think it would be great for any of your gatherings. Next up, we have club sandwich sliders. So I don't know about y'all, but I love a good club sandwich. We're going to go ahead and start baking our bacon in the oven at 400 degrees. You do want to start it in a cold oven. That's what I've heard kind of works best. And just start with maybe 15 minutes and keep checking it till it's done to your liking. And then we've got some butter that I've softened here, and I'm just going to rub this on the inside of the buns because we're actually going to toast these buns up. The recipe mentions you can also use mayonnaise if you wanted to, so mayonnaise or butter, whichever one. And you bake these in the oven, but I would next time broil those. I feel like the buns got a little too done doing it that way. And I think, when you broil it, it just broils the top and it doesn't really kind of cook the buns. And this did cook the buns. So next time I would broil those instead. Now I've got my lettuce chopped up here. I'm also going to slice up some tomatoes. So what we're going to kind of do is assemble these sandwiches, and then we'll take the lid or the top off, and we'll put the lettuce mixture and the tomatoes and everything on there. So now that we've got our buns kind of toasty, we're going to go ahead and put some cheese here, and that's just sharp cheddar, and then we're going to layer some turkey on there. I used a couple of different kinds. I used some just deli meat I had in the refrigerator, like the packaged kind of deli meat, and then I got some fresh deli meat from the deli counter too. So all this is turkey, it's just different ones. And then we're going to top that with our bacon, and then we're going to actually put the top of the buns back on, and we're going to actually put the butter mixture on and bake these. So the butter mixture calls for some butter with some onion powder. It mentioned everything bagel seasoning. I didn't end up using that. I actually decided to use garlic powder, onion powder, and it was Italian seasoning. And so I've got that going on here. And then I'm going to mix that together well and then brush that on these buns. Like I mentioned earlier, you're going to see in a minute, these got a little overdone because, again, in the recipe, she said to put them in the oven. She didn't say to cover them, and she said for 5 minutes. And again, there was no temperature, so that was a little bit tricky. I was like, so I started to do it at 350. I thought, well, maybe she did everything at 400. So number one, I would definitely do 350 if you're going to bake them. I probably would go ahead and cover them as well, just to keep them protected, So there's some tweaks I would make to this for sure, and I'll put those in the notes in the description box. So we're just mixing some mayonnaise, some red wine vinegar, some Italian seasoning, and a little bit of olive oil on the lettuce here. She mentioned you could use something called Beano's submarine dressing. I didn't have that, and she gave this as like a backup if you didn't have it. And so that's what I did. And there you can see they got a little too toasty, but that's okay. They still tasted really good. And so we're going to go ahead and put our tomatoes on there, our lettuce mixture, and then we'll top it back on with that lid. And I thought that was such a smart idea. That way, you know, you put the cheese on the bottom so that you can take this back off and put these cold items on. Because, you know, most people are not going to want to bake these things with the sandwich. So I feel like that was such a smart idea. So I love that. That definitely worked out really well. And we're going to put our tops on and then put them on our serving plate. And these were really good, y'all. Highly recommend. I did just make a half portion of this one and the next one just because I was making these in kind of close proximity to each other, and I felt like that'd give us a better way to try them. Next up, we have our meatball sliders, and I feel like this is such a fun idea, like to do meatball sliders. So I've got our meatballs here. We're just going to cook those in the air fryer. These are fresh meatballs, not frozen. I felt like there might be a good bit of grease, so I did layer some foil on the bottom underneath that little tray to kind of catch most of the grease, and that worked great, so easy clean up there. So we're just going to air fry these till they're fully cooked. Just make sure you follow the package, directions on whatever meatball you tend to use, whether that's frozen or fresh or whatever, and then that way you make sure they get fully done. I always recommend too checking them with a thermometer. That way you make 100% sure that everything's cooked thoroughly and everything. And so we're going to use these to assemble our meatball sliders. And I did kind of go by a recipe. I'll have that linked below, but I did kind of change a little bit. So what I did was I actually put cheese on the bottom, and then I put a little bit of sauce, and then I put the meatball, and then more sauce, and then a piece of cheese on top of that. I felt like that way it would give it pretty good cheesiness, pretty good saucy. You want to make sure you kind of have the right proportions of those, so that you don't end up with a dry slider or, not enough cheese or something like that. So I felt like this would be a good way to ensure that. Now, of course, one of the things I think that always makes sliders so delicious is the buttery topping. And so just like all others, this one's going to have a buttery topping too. You can see that melted butter already sitting over there. I feel like that just adds so much to these sliders. Any slider recipe, I just feel like that is kind of like what is one of the key things to making them be so good, is that buttery topping. So with this buttery topping, we're actually going to mix together some Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, and then also some grated Parmesan cheese. Now I just end up using the Kraft Parmesan cheese, but you could use whatever kind you want, obviously. But I feel like that this makes it almost like a little bit, almost like a garlic butter topping. And so I feel like that's just such a good, cheesy garlic butter, I guess actually is what it would be. And I feel like that's just such a good combination, especially when you're talking about, something like meatballs and, mozzarella and pasta sauce and all that good stuff. Because, garlic bread goes with all that type of stuff. And so I feel like this is the perfect topping for this one. So we're just going to go ahead and cover this up, and we're going to bake it for 12 minutes at 350 degrees. And then we're going to uncover and bake an additional 5 to 7 minutes, or just until the tops are golden brown and the cheese is melted. These were a big hit though. We really enjoyed them. I just love trying all these new slider recipes. They're just a fun thing to make. So y'all, I hope you enjoyed those slider recipes. Let me know what you thought of them. If there's ones you see that you want to make, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to go check out Kate at Kate Koska and April at Cooking with April. They all cook up yummy, delicious recipes. And Kate even does like hauls and stuff like that too. So I just think y'all will really enjoy their channels if you don't already follow them. So head over there, let them know I sent you. But yeah, I hope y'all have enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a blessed day wherever you are. I'll see you in the next one.